Hello, and in this message, I wanted to expand and extrapolate on the idea of your personal space expanding and reaching at the point of multidimensional interpretation that you, from the limited scope of scales, might have not been able to experience and touch on before. And then like the set of circumstances it would bring in as you function through the new wavelength of your being. One, recognize that your sense of self, your sense of I, um, will go through tribulations of questioning, not in the way that you yourself would be at a point of dissolvement, but the identity behind yourself will take on a very fluid nature of its interpretation. And so the rigidity of form that you have felt before and that sense of I, the identification of I that you have held in the past as your ultimate truth of expression, will start to dissolve and become nimble, and thus the most solid interpretation of I that you have been able to interpret thus far, in that nimbleness will become open-minded. And I say all of this as it might apply to the one definition of I. But when I say open-minded in this case, it will become open-minded into the magnitudes of expression that holds your overarching signature of I. And so the thought of I has been very defined and set for the purpose of a full scale of thought and emotional range to be applied to the one instance of I in the one specific moment in one specific set of time. But as the nature of I dissolves into nimbleness, the interpretation of I will become fluid. And so through this fluidity, the choice and the outlook and the expression and the view and the standpoint and the nuance of any one moment of I, it then can be broken apart and then put together in a completely different form. Saying this from the point of multidimensionality and having to apply these concepts to the new interpretation of you, um, would um, would raise concern and questions about then what is the definition of I forward, that then you can start to interpret and you can start to bring forth as the idea to hold in space. So then this expression of existence can function. And the simple answer to that would be the possibility of holding a definite I and then you one space and time is so fluid and so nimble that the dissolution of I now within that knowledge and within that possibility of expression will start to take on its own form, and it will start to bend perspective, and it will start to shift views to accommodate a new range of expression that fits your narrative of this greater I, this overarching I expression of self, more so uh, to your preference, than you have chosen to have in the past. And so I think I'm speaking in very vague and overarching terms, but I believe you can feel the implication of these concepts coming into your form, and the three-dimensional notion of me speaking it, experiencing or expressing confusion on the the set of possibilities. And what I would say to that is allow yourself time to let your being be, to let your being expand, and let your being start to interpret the notions of you, these new notions of you, um, as the truth that you hold within. And then simply recognize that this expression, as different as it might be, it's still the overall expression and the overall potential of the innate I that is you, right? You're not losing the sense of self when this new experience comes on board. You're not dissolving your existence and thus become null, from the standpoint of the divine expression. You're simply expanding the knowledge of the divine expression that is already and has always been taking place in form, behind your, previously limited concept, locked down concept of one version of I. And so, again, express and know the the expression. I know the nuance, recognize the potential of each moment, recognize yourself as this new nimble interpretation, of your former self, and then play in that new playground, recognizing that just because the awareness have come on board does not mean that the circumstances of our actions are different. And simply the only change in the perspective is the fact that the awareness has now chosen to express and to foresee and interpret a larger scope of I, that has previously been chosen before. Um, and yeah, and again, a reoccurring message, but grace. Grace needs to come into your sense of self, to give yourself space and care and tranquility in order to see the nuance of change and recognize the expansion of that knowledge, the expansion of the expression of self, um, through the choice, through your own choice, um, is vastness. It holds vastness, and it's difficult to go from a count of one to a count of infinity in the moment of time. And so again, grace. Um, give yourself grace as you start to express, and foresee the concept of I, the concept of futures, the concepts of self, um, that are orchestrating and are taking place, but now allow you to overlook the existence in a brand new, exciting way of being. So, again, happy exploring, and may the grace of life be with you.